You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report's Daily Report, episode number 232.1, our daily update on high school, college, and professional sports news in Central Indiana, with a little bit of major national sports news, anything that may be of interest to Central Indiana sports fans.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whenever you've chosen to listen to the Central Indiana Sports Report, we thank you for making us a little part of your day. Today's April 11, 2025. It's a Friday, so it's another day for the Central Indiana Sports Report. I'm your host, Greg Mengelt. Sitting next to me is Camden Warner, my guy. Producer Susie is in the control room at headquarters in Jeffersonville. Coming up, the Pacers look to clinch home court advantage in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs, and we had our first really busy day of high school spring sports. It's going to be a long one. Buckle in. But first, this is the part of the podcast where I beg you to go to our YouTube page and subscribe, even if you're already subscribed or following us at SoundCloud, Spotify, Amazon, or Apple. Please go to our YouTube page and subscribe. You will not regret it. I mean, maybe you will. I don't know you that well. Also, on Thursday, we released our Elwood Panthers Spring Sports Media Day segment. And earlier Friday, Will Rutherford predicted the future in 5 questions that need answers. Later Friday, we'll have our Madison Grant baseball season preview. The Indiana Pacers beat East leading Cleveland 114-112 Thursday to clinch home court advantage in the first round. The Pacers will host either Milwaukee or Detroit as the 3 or more likely the 4 seed as the NBA playoffs get underway next weekend. Indiana could still get up to the 3 spots. They're a game behind New York with 2 games left. They would have to win both of their games and the Knicks lose both of theirs to move up a spot. The Bucks will be the 5 seed, and the Pistons will be number 6. The Cavaliers will be the number 1 seed. They played Thursday without their top 3 players. They were resting Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and Evan Mobley, and they showed off their depth in Thursday's loss. However, it was the Pacers who came out on top in the end. Their 6th straight win, their 12th in their last 14 games. They are 1 win from their first 50-win season in 11 years. Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle said his team is starting to change its mentality as the playoffs approach.
It's a significant accomplishment, so congratulations to the guys. Congratulations to our fans. Our fans had a big part in it. But it's not a destination. It's simply a tool. And so, as we get closer to everything, we'll talk to the team more about the mindset. You got to take a bit different mindset into the playoffs when you're the home team.
Indiana trailed 66-58 with 8 minutes left in the third before going on a 23-12 run to take the lead late in the third quarter. Cleveland led 102-95 with 7 minutes left in the contest before Tyrese Halliburton led a 10-0 run that gave the Pacers the lead for good. They withstood a late 3-point attempt from Isaac Okoro and a Jalen Tyson 14-footer at the buzzer. Aaron Nesmith led the Pacers attack with 22 points. 7 different Pacers scored in double figures. Halliburton had 23 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds, and 3 block shots in the win. Jarris Walker had a huge game with 15 points on 6 of 7 shooting and 3 of 4 on his 3-point attempts. The Cavs' Ty Jerome led all scorers with 24, and DeAndre Hunter had 23. Sam Merrill made 5 3-pointers in the fourth for his 15 points. The Pacers host Orlando Friday night in their penultimate game of the regular season and their final home regular season game. 2 high school baseball, Elwood exploded for 5 runs in the first and 13 more in the second for a 21-4 win at Union on Thursday. The Panthers had 23 hits in the win. That'll be really good for everyone's batting average. Jace Reese, A.J. Flanagan, Bracken Jetty, and Jackson Gordon all had 3 hits for the Panthers. Flanagan had a triple and drove in 3 runs. Reese a double and scored 3 times. Jetty scored 3 times and drove in 3. And Jackson led the team with 4 RBIs. Dylan Grimes went 2 for 2 and scored 3 times and drove in a couple of runs. Liam Cannon earned the pitching win. He struck out 6 of the 7 batters he faced. The Panthers are now 1-1 and host Mechanicsville on Friday. Alexandria opened its season with a 9-2 win over Marion. The game was scoreless through 3 innings before the Tigers scored 3 runs in the 4th, 4 in the 5th, and 2 more in the 6th for the win. Owen May led the Alexandria offense by going 2 for 3 with a double, 4 RBIs, and 2 runs. Will Rowland had a double and a couple of RBIs, and John Amon also scored twice. The trio of Rowland, Jackson Brizendine, and Landon Fletcher combined on the 2-hitter and struck out 14 Giants. Tipton got its first win of the season after an 0-4 start. The Blue Devils overcame a 5-1 deficit by outscoring the Bulldogs 8-0 over the final 3 innings. Nathan Hawkins and Jack Roach both had big nights for Tipton. Hawkins went 3 for 4 with a double, a run, and 3 RBIs. Roach was 3 for 5. He had a double, and he also drove in 3 runs. Kellen Hussong had a triple and scored twice. Daniel Holton went 3 for 4 for 1 and 2 Central. Wabash scored the tying run in the 5th and the winning run in the bottom of the 6th to beat Mississinawa 4-3 in the Apaches season opener. Seth Yoder led the Indian offense with 3 hits, including a double, and Jasper Ballage went 2 for 3 with an RBI. Cooper Long got the win for the Apaches with 3 shutout innings. Mississinawa is now 1-1. Bluffton beat Blackford 11-1 in 5 innings as Dawson Lee and Abram Garrett combined on a no-hitter for the Tigers. Trenton Norton scored the lone run for the 1-2 Bruins. Oak Hill suffered a 2-0 loss to Huntington North. 4 Oak Hill pitchers combined on a 4-hitter, but the Golden Eagle Bats only managed 2 hits, singles by Harrison York and Noah Thompson. Adam Hughes' walk-off double lifted Hamilton Heights to a 5-4 win over Jay County on Thursday. Hughes finished 3 for 4 with a couple of RBIs to help the Huskies improve to 1-1. Levi Chandler hit a solo home run, and Caden Lawson earned the win. Muncie Central was shut out by Northeastern 8-0 in the first game of the season. Logan Campbell went 2 for 3 for the Bearcats, who managed just 4 hits against the Knights duo of Blake Waters and Gavin Johnson. Pendleton Heights beat Yorktown 11-4 for a big Hoosier Heritage victory Thursday. The Arabians are now 3-0 overall and 3-0 in the conference. Jordan Williamson drove in 3 runs, and Ty Freikas scored 3 times in the win. Yorktown's Reed Turner had 2 hits and an RBI for the 1-2 Tigers. Delta fell 7-5 to Mount Vernon in an HHC contest despite Everett Lynn's 2 for 3, 2 RBI performance. Riker Bear led Mount Vernon by going 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and 2 RBIs. 4th-ranked Western scored 7 times in the first inning and improved to 4-0 with a 6-inning, 13-3 win over West Lafayette. The Panthers are now 2-0 against Hoosier Conference opponents. Ryan Rodman is batting .588 early in the season with a 1.40 slugging percentage after going 3 for 5 with 4 RBIs. He hit his second double and his second home run of the season. Charlie Brewer hit a double and drove in 3, and Cal Berryman had a couple of hits, 2 runs, and 2 RBIs. Harrison's Chase Gothrop and Blake Scales no-hit Kokomo in a 10-0 5-inning outing. Nathan Proff had 2 RBIs and scored twice in the win. Harrison is now 2-0, Kokomo 0-2. Clinton Prairie sent Sheridan to its second straight loss to start the season, 11-1 on Thursday. Elijah Edwards hit a 3-run homer in the Gopher season opener. Sheridan's lone hit was a triple by Gavin Schwerdfeger. Wapahani earned its first win of the year, beating Westell 17-0 in a Mid-Eastern Conference game. Nate Luce and Brock Zickraft combined on the 4-hit shutout and struck out 10 Warriors. Offensively, Zickraft was 2 for 3 with a home run, 4 RBIs, and 2 runs scored. Quentin James was 2 for 3 with a double, 2 runs, and 2 RBIs. And Kaysen Purdue was 2 for 2 with a double. He also drove in 2. Grayson Mealy was 2 for 2 for 0-3 Westell. Daleville is 2-0 overall after winning its first MEC contest 2-0 over Randolph Southern. Aiden Ramirez threw 5 strong innings, giving up just 2 hits and striking out 7. Bryson Sigler and Joshua Wilson each had a pair of hits and an RBI in the win. Caleb Aiken had a double and scored twice for the Broncos. Bryson Grimes went 2 for 4 with a double, a run, and an RBI for 1-2 Randolph Southern. Eastern Hancock knocked off Cowan 4-1 in an MEC contest. Jaden Acker had 2 hits for the Blackhawks, who are now 1-1. Brody Clifford threw 3 scoreless innings in relief. Luke Fletcher supplied most of the game's offense with a 3-run home run for the 1-1 Royals. Southern Wells beat Liberty Christian 19-1. Liberty didn't have a hit, but did have 10 base runners. Caleb Greenlaw drew a pair of walks in the loss. Greenwood Christian held Burris to a couple of hits and beat the Owls 13-0. Nicholas Bontzek and Parker Evans had hits for the 0-3 Owls. We move on to softball, where we also had a ton of games on Thursday night. 10th-ranked Madison Grant is 2-0 after routing Marion 12-2 in 5 innings Thursday. The Argyles had 17 hits in the win. Demi Havens went 3 for 4, and May Ricks, Averill Spalding, Grace Wood, Emma Wilkerson, and Kaylee Stitt each had 2 hits. And Patricia Van Mater, Olivia Dunham, and Carly Holiday and Havens each scored twice. And Jonna Hyatt drove in 2 runs. Basically, everyone in the lineup did something good. McKenna Craig threw 4 1/3 strong innings to help her get her first win of the season. Marion's Gracie Dixon had 2 singles and 2 RBIs. The Argyles are at Greenfield Central on Friday. Mississinawa won its opener 6-3 at Cass. The Indians trailed 3-2 before tying the game with a single run in the 4th, then took the lead with 5 more runs in the 5th. Jenna Kaus was 2 for 4 with a double and 2 RBIs to lead Mississinawa. Parker Machette also had 2 hits. Cass's Ava Hooner had an RBI triple in the loss. Eastbrook took its first loss of the season, 6-2 to Norwell. Kayla Watkins allowed just 2 runs on 5 hits in the win. Eastbrook is now 2-1. Oak Hill scored 6 times in the first and beat Eastern 13-3 in 5 innings. Maddie Archer had a huge performance for the Golden Eagles, going 3 for 4 with a double, a triple, 3 runs, and 3 RBIs. Rai Myers was 3 for 3 and scored a run, and Jolie Hawkins, Riley Archer, and Patty Spiker all scored twice. Elle Winger drove in 2 runs for 0-4 Eastern. Hamilton Heights earned its first win of the season, 14-0 over Anderson in 5 innings Thursday. Cameron Roten hit a double, a home run, and drove in 5 of the Huskies' 14 runs. Mackenzie Jackson and Haley Hall both scored 3 times. Lily Cash tossed a 4-hit shutout and struck out 8 Indians. Emma Wilson went 2 for 3 for 1-1 Anderson. Kokomo took its first loss of the year, 7-3 against visiting Harrison. The game was tied at 1-1 after 4, but the Raiders scored 5 times in the 6th to take control. Brady Odom and Mallory Dool both drove in 2 runs for Harrison. Spencer Martin had an RBI triple for Kokomo in the loss. Pendleton Heights scored 17 times in the first 2 innings and beat Lawrence North 17-2. Cassie Hayes went 2 for 3, scored 3 times, and drove in 3 for the 1-1 Arabians. And Avery Miller scored 3 times in the win. 3 Pendleton pitchers, Brinley Holden, Cassie Hayes, and Morgan Bricker, allowed just 3 Lawrence North hits. Class 3A number 7 Yorktown opened its season with a 13-8 win over Connorsville, but it wasn't an easy one. The Tigers trailed 7-6 after 6 innings, then scored 7 clutch runs in the top of the 7th. Brooklyn Bartle led the offensive charge with a double and 3 RBIs. Abby Boer went 3 for 5 and scored twice. And Olivia Jerriman also was 3 for 5. She scored twice and drove in a pair. Addie Phillips had 3 RBIs for the 2-6 Spartans. Jay County's bat stayed hot in a 16-3 5-inning win over Delta. The Patriots are now 3-0. Haley Schwederman led the Patriot offense with 2 doubles and 4 RBIs. Madison Misicano was 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs and scored twice. Caden Freiberger, Ava West, and Caitlin Burns had 2 hits apiece. Freiberger also had a double. Daleville scored 14 times in the first inning of its season and cruised to a season-opening 25-0 win over MEC rival Randolph Southern. Maddie Reese and Reagan Jackson both hit home runs. Jackson, Emily Simmons, and Valen Pattengale each scored 4 times. and Reese, Lily Malone, and Liberty Clevenger all drove in 3 runs for the Broncos. West Dell won its first game of the year, a 10-0 win over rival Wapahani. The Warriors broke a scoreless tie with 5 runs in the third. Then they scored 5 more in the fifth. All those runs and all Bailey West needed was 1. She allowed just 1 hit in her shutout performance and struck out 9. Devin Jacey drove in 2 runs and scored twice for West Dell. And Kinsey Anderson and Kirsten Ronan both had 2 hits, an RBI, and scored 2 runs apiece. On the track, Eastern's boys edged Alexandria 64-58. Andrew Cavavos, Caden Butler, Obi Green, Noah Wright, and Riley Helmberger each won 2 events for the Comets. The Eastern girls beat Alexandria 60-45. Elizabeth Bruno won the shot put and discus. Allie Houston, Ava Kantz, Cora Gunderson, Zoe Sexton, Malia Shelna, and Maya Moniz all won a solo event and were part of Eastern's relay sweep. Oak Hills girls started the season with a 95-37 win over Mechaniqual. Ellie Campbell won 4 events, and Callie Bolin and Lexi Newber each won 3 for the Golden Eagles. Oak Hill won 12 total events. Huntington North swept Marion in a dual meet. The Vikings won the boys' race 73-57, and the girls beat the Giants 94-36. Freshman Naomi Hahn was part of the winning 4x400 Marion relay team, and also tied the school record by clearing 5.4 in the high jump in her first varsity meet. For Marion's boys, Jamari Johnson won the high jump, Trevor Morgan the discus, Mike Hetherington the 1600, Larry Cox won the 400, and Elijah Magruder crossed the line first in the 1600. A couple of local tennis matches. Alexandria edged Greenfield Central 3-2 in its season opener by sweeping both doubles matches and winning a couple of 3-set matches. At number 3 singles, Fady Bridwell beat the Cougars' Tanessa O'Neill for a big win. Addie Bates and Delilah Young won in straight sets at number 2 doubles, 6-4, 7-5. And Alexandria needed 3 sets to win at number 1 doubles. Lily Harp and Abby Gaines beat Anna McQueenie and Cadence Ham. Eastern beat Western 4-1. The Comets took 2 and 3 singles and 1 and 2 doubles. Gianna Beachy and Morgan Kaiser were the singles winners. Julia Salke and Reagan Princess won at number 1 doubles, and Emma Buddy and Tegan Bedwell won at number 2. There was only one boys golf match on Thursday locally, and Tipton beat Northwestern 163-170. Calvin Condit earned the medalist honors with a 38. Hudson Whaley led the Tigers with a 40, and Logan Duncan and Austin Miller each shot a 42. Duncan also aced the 8th hole at Tipton Municipal. And in college softball, Purdue improved to 21-17 with an 8-0 5-inning win over Eastern Illinois. Kendall Klochak threw a 2-hit shutout and struck out 8 in the win. Delaney Reef and Sage Scarmardo led the offense. Reef was 2 for 3 with a double and drove in 2 runs. And Scarmardo scored twice and drove in 2. The Boilermakers are off until Tuesday when they host 13-23 IU Indy. And now you know everything we know about Central Indiana sports. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to see us continue to grow and thrive, please share the Central Indiana Sports Report with your friends and family. We humbly thank you in advance. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.